We have three brilliant, amazing speakers this morning. And the very first one, unfortunately, due to this absolutely devastating, ruthless war Russia has brought on Ukraine, our first speaker, unfortunately, is not able to join us live. Anna Garchakova is a psychologist by background, and after the fall of the Soviet Union in the very early 1990s, basically built one of the, or probably the largest European home care program for palliative care, starting in Minsk, the capital city of Belarus. And many of us had the privilege over the years, over the decades, to work with Anna, who truly is a force of nature. Those of you who've met her for more than 10 seconds will always remember and have a good party story. And we're very sad that she will not be able to be here with us. So Anna has recorded her session, so we hope technically this is going to start in a few seconds. And she's going to talk about when clinicians speak and nobody hears, discussing the prognosis. So I hope we're going to see Anna in a second here.
Good morning, dear colleagues. Good morning, dear friends. It's a big proud for me to be with you. Of course, I dream a little bit about other. I dream to be with you by person, but we propose God response, and I'm happy to be with you virtual. The topic that I will cover consider one of the most important now in palliative care. When I started working in palliative care nearly 30 years ago, for me, for example, for us, more important was pain control and quality of life. It was life, child without pain. About communication, for us it was very, very easy. We not paid attention too much like now. Why? What's happened now? Why we have now a lot of tools in one hand, a lot of scheme how use these tools, but why sometimes happened that patient didn't hear us? And for this reason, all our knowledge mean nothing. Let's try to figure it out. We should very briefly say about the world we lived in. 21st century, it is century very high-level technology. And I don't want to speak about other technology, but only medical technology. We now know how to treat some disease. It was not possible before. We prolong life for some children with chronic disease, for very good level of life, and else. It is a lot of new research about in this sphere. Living standard, we can live our living standard much higher too. I don't want to say that we live whole life, it's very rich. No. But Europe, for example, and the country around, we lived quite good. I think it's about myself. 30 years ago, and now it's different level. It's different. Education level, population, again, improved. And our people with high-level educational, and sometimes they speak not one language, and several languages. Most for example, in our country, people used English language. Number of information resource has appeared. It's fantastic appeared. Now we don't need to go to library. We need to only can use computer, and we can read different articles and about what I want. And of course, globalization, and in our country, mixed culture, mixed nation, color, and all mixed. We live like very, very globalization, globalization around us. Okay, all of this is big influence for communication model between parents and doctor. Before, it was very old, paternalistic communication model. It's doctor say, patient listen, like God. Okay, now change. Now it's partnership communication model. Our patient and their family part of our multidisciplinary team. And it's not monologue doctor. We used dialogue doctor. But mentally and culturally, I want to speak about a little bit this point. It's not changed a lot. I wrote articles that mentally changed 2% during 100 years. Culture is same. And it is mental and culture are not changing at first on the environment. It's leading conflict. For example, we used the new model, communication doctor and patient with another culture didn't want to be a part of member. He prepared old model. It's possible. And it's not possible, don't say, about many informational resources. It is, and it's not bad, but it creates some problem, because people without special education can use a lot of different resources of information. And I'm not sure they can very good analyze this. And now, like result, we receive a big concurrent, Dr. Google. Dr. Google, who promised us very new research. Dr. Google, who promised нам another way of treatment. Very difficult to be concurrent with doctor without special education. Dr. Google, it is figure without special education, but it's very popular between our parents, Dr. Google. And not possible to say about the psychological factor. Of course, we have different psychological type. I don't want to speak about this. I want to speak about that in this time we received too many information, and sometimes for us, for ordinary people, very difficult to be with this information. Yes, want to put our mobile and closed and go outside and don't hear, don't look, don't want to speak. But what we speak about people who a grief process, who have very sick child, and dying child, they have special condition. And sometimes then it's not possible at all receive any information. And only way, very old way, to block and not possible. Don't hear nothing. Sometimes it's easy. It is, again, I want to repeat, it's very old way to work with information, but it's worked. And sometimes doctors speak with the patient who in a block. It's not possible go through this block. Another problem with some people who, again, very useful, Dr. Google, and they they all time received a lot of information, scientific information. And of course, again, I want to repeat, people who cannot analyze specific information, cannot use analytic part of intellect, put all information in emotional part of internet. And when doctor, who normally used analytic part of internet and used logic scheme, it's different level, and their patient used emotional level, and their knowledge save an emotional level intellect. And it's like two paralyzed. They cannot listen each other, don't understand each other. It is a problem. And he used only, we need to know special, like trigger word. Doctor need to use that patient turn to them, but we don't know this is trigger word sometimes. And what we can do? And I tell only one mistake from patient side, not bad mistake. It is a problem from patient side, but dialogue at two sides. And we have a problem with doctor sides. Some doctor who now, new doctor, they received a lot of psychological course and they know how to communicate, but no knowledge. And not experience to hear patient. And sometimes they didn't understand patient till the end. And like result, misunderstanding.
Mrs. Wilk, you have something called systemic amyloidosis. Now, it's in your liver now, but it'll eventually shut down all your organs. There's a treatment, but it's very invasive, and at best, it'll just give you a little more time.
Well, I've had a great life, so.
Say no more. I'm gonna take amazing care of you.
Okay.
What are you doing here?
Mrs. Wilk was asking me some questions that I actually thought would be best answered by you.
Why did that sweaty attorney ask me if my affairs were in order?
Because I wanted to make sure that you're as comfortable as possible.
As comfortable as possible for what?
I'm going to sit for this.
For the place that you're going. You know, the big puffy clouds, the bright lights, all your old friends.
Seattle?
No, not Seattle. The dying peacefully place.
What are you talking about?
Now I'm going to stand.
This morning you told me that you'd had a great life.
Exactly, and I'd like to continue it.
Oh, this is just a misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. Tell her it's a misunderstanding then.
She's tried to kill before.
I'm sorry, Dr. Dorian.
So you gave her the old death sentence, did you? In the business, we call that a rookie mistake, but thanks for playing.
Another mistake, from doctor side, some doctor, he loved to speak a lot. He enjoy their knowledge, and they try to put all this knowledge to the patient. And another story.
So basically your condition, what you have is a spondylolisthesis. Now there's spondylolytic and non-spondylolytic spondylolisthesis.
2 hours later.
And it could be degenerative. Most commonly it occurs at L5, S1. It could occur at L4, L5 as well. Mostly at L4, L5, however, it's degenerative spondylolisthesis.
2,000 years later.
And then it pulls in the disc fibers with it from the disc above or the disc below. And so basically,
Okay, we can do about mistake as a problem. What can we do with this problem? We try to decide something. I use this scheme. It is a very old scheme, but I love her because I think it's only one way this discussion to find a very comfortable level for physician and for parents to understand each other. We need to try to find this level. It's not mean that our patient must know what doctor know. It's not possible that doctor go to the parents and speak own language. We need to find middle, some level comfortable for both. How to do it? It is in other questions. First of all, we need very good prepare our conversation. Because everybody knows that before conversation we collect medical anamnesis, but I think we need to collect not medical anamnesis, we need to collect psychological anamnesis. For this, of course, not possible for Dr. One. It is not possible for Dr. S. Very busy. But we have very good tools at our multidisciplinary palliative care team. It is a psychologist, it's a nurse, and it's a physician, and else. We need to ask to our team to speak, to know before communication who is our future patient. Maybe he knows a lot. Maybe it's patient who read a lot of articles. Maybe it's patient who never read articles. And for this, we need to be prepared. Maybe if it's very intelligent patient, we need to invite our colleague from scientific department to speak about some different research. And we know that parents will speak about this research. When we know some parents very, very nervous, we need to invite psychologists. We need to speak about before with whom better to our patient will come. One mother, or mother with father, or maybe mother with grandmother. For this, we need to communicate before preparation. We need to know who is this, our patient, like person, not medical. And I want to recommend about checklist. It is very old, but I wrote it many, many years ago. It is 10 steps about how to speak with patient. And many years I think it's not important. But now maybe I'm older, have some problem after COVID with my memory. But I'm very useful. Checklist is very useful for me. And because it is very important, believe me. And during, what about ethical expert? Before, when we begin, I think it's very important ethical aspect of good communication. Everybody must know in department about what we will be speak. What does it mean? For example, if we want to change curative treatment for palliative care treatment, about this is our decision, must know medical director, doctor in department, and psychologist in a department. Anyway, after communication, patient can go for local doctor in another department, in a medical director. It's in our country, it's happened very, very often. And it will be a problem. We need to, all our team must go to one direction. It is very important. During the communication, it's a process. Again, don't forget to use the checklist, use short scientific, use post, and my recommendation, again, don't forget about this dialogue, not monologue, and be careful with empathy, because sometimes if doctor all time smiled, it's a little bit strange. Or touch therapy. For example, not for everybody, again, cultural and mental, not everybody people love touch therapy. They don't like people hug it. It's a little bit different. But for me, very important, it is the end of communication, because in end of communication, we must really understood it is good or not good. Don't forget to ask in the end of communication about, are we really understand what I want to say? Sometimes people say, I don't want to answer. What does it mean? It means people are aggressive. And you know that communication not stopped. We need to continue communication. Anyway, in the end of communication, you must show and to give the patient one thing. It will be continued, because communication is not process. Communication, it is communication, it's not one action. Communication, it is a process. It's a long process. And if it's first communication, it's not good. We need to continue to try and try and try. We are different people. We speak different language. We have different mentality. We have different culture. What it is not means, for us it's not possible to have agreement between us. And we need to continue to try communication. It is very important in a palliative care in the world too, to find a level communication between patient and doctor. It's the end of my communication, and I wish you all the best.